In this video, you'll learn exactly what you need to do if you plan to rent out your property in Spain for tourist rentals, especially if you advertise in platforms such as Airbnb, Booking, or similar. As of January 2025 up until July, anyone who wants to rent out their property in Spain for short-term stays must get a specific registration code. On top of that, all the data will be sent to a platform called Ventanilla Única Digital de Arrendamientos, which will allow the authorities to ensure that everything works correctly. By the way, if you would rather not deal with all the paperwork yourself, we can handle it for just 50 euros VAT included. Just bear in mind that any fees that the administration requires are separate. I'll leave the contact information here in the screen and in the description. Let's dive in. Before we jump into what the new obligations are, I think it's useful to make a short introduction. Spain is part of the European Union, which brings a series of obligations. The European Union introduced a Reglamento in April 2024, obliging member states to implement a system that ensures each country has reliable data on short-term rentals. This is basically what Spain did. Besides this, I think it's very important for you to know that not every short-term rental in Spain is considered tourist. Actually, we have two different categories: alquiler de temporada or temporary use dwellings, aimed at students, temporary workers, or people undergoing medical treatments. Typically, you don't have to do additional procedures with the regional or local authorities for this. In second place, we have alquiler turístico or tourist use dwellings, specifically for vacationers or leisure stays. Think of holiday rentals. These rentals do require extra steps because each region or municipality may require a license or registration before you can advertise. You will need to check your region or city council's requirements because these are different depending on the region or sometimes depending on the city where you're renting the property. I made a short video about this, I'll leave it in the description, and I think this can be useful for you. Now, let's talk about the key changes that affect you as a property owner. There are essentially two new elements to understand: the rental registration code or Código de Registro de Alquiler and the one-stop digital windows for rentals or Ventanilla Única Digital de Arrendamientos. Once we've covered this, I'll finish with a frequent asked questions that might solve most of your questions. If not, as I said in the beginning of the video, you can contact me via WhatsApp, Instagram, email. By the way, my name is Juan Bertomeu and I work alongside my father, a lawyer in Spain specialized in conveyancing, immigration, tourist rentals with more than 30 years of experience. Now, let's go to it. El Código de Registro. This code is a mandatory registration number that you will obtain after proving that your property meets all the legal requirements for short-term rentals. Practically speaking, it's not too complicated to request, but be careful because if you're missing one document, the registration will send it back to you and you will have 10 days to fix it. And remember, without this code, you cannot advertise this property in any platform. So the question is, what do you need to request this registration number? First, a declaración responsable sworn statement related to obtaining the licencia urbanística, the urban planning permit. Second, a licencia de uso turístico, tourist use license. Third, a certificado de habitabilidad, proving the property meets minimum standards of occupancy and health conditions. Fourth, the cadastral reference, which helps identify the property. And fifth and lastly, the exact direction of the property, so the administration can verify its location and cross-reference data with other records. If any of this is unfamiliar to you, don't hesitate to contact me. I'll be very happy to explain you in your specific case what these documents are. You request this code to El Registro de la Propiedad, and believe me, these are fantastic news, because in my experience, and especially my father, this institution is one of the most efficient in Spain, alongside with Hacienda, Spanish tax agency. I've been getting some questions about this code that I think are worth clarifying. If you do not rent your home on platforms like Airbnb or Booking, there's no need to worry. You won't be required to have this code. But if you do advertise on any of these platforms, you must have the registration number. In fact, if Airbnb sees you haven't included it, they'll probably remove your listing straight away. Remember, the deadline is July 2025, and the process of requesting it should take you between 40 and 60 minutes. As I said in the beginning of the video, if you want us to handle the paperwork, we will happily do it for 50 euros VAT included, but the expenses that the administration might require are not included. Now let's talk about the Ventanilla Única Digital de Arrendamientos. From now, let's just call it the digital window. And this is a very important part of the new regulation, because all the data from the short-term rentals, well, in future, we will see that it's not just short-term rentals, but this video is specifically made for this. All the data flows through it. How does it work? Pretty simple. Every time you rent out your property, the platform or the owner will need to send in sensitive details, such as reservation dates, number of nights, and the amount charged. Yes, exactly that. The tax agency, Hacienda, local councils, and regional authorities will cross-check all that information to make sure everything's in order and that there's no hidden economy going on. On top of that, this digital window makes it easier for the authorities to run inspections and check if your home complies with its license, the registration code, and, of course, your tax obligations. Think of the registration code as your legal pass to advertise the property, and the digital window as the control center where they keep track of everything. Authorities will find it very easy to spot any irregularities and call you out if things don't add up. So, the steps to legally rent your place on Airbnb or Booking in Spain in 2025 are: obtain the tourist license, get your registration number, display that code on your Airbnb or Booking listing so you don't run into any issues with the platform. And monthly or quarterly, the platform will send your booking and payment data to the digital window. And now, as I promised, let's move on to the most frequent asked questions about these new obligations. Of course, if these don't solve your doubts, don't hesitate and just write me down a comment or contact me. WhatsApp, email, I already said it, so let's go. Daniel, does the registration code ever expire or do I need to renew it? Yes, every 12 months you'll have to submit a short-term rental informative model in which you will show the listing of all rentals you had in that year and you will prove that you still meet the requirements. If you fail to do so, or if the authorities find any issues, the registration code for that property can be withdrawn. It can also be cancelled if you request the property to be removed from the registry, or if the authorities issue a resolution telling platforms to remove or block your listing. For instance, if your information was incomplete or wrong. In Valencia and Alicante, they have a self-registry that allows property owners to declare certain periods as touristic use under 10 days and others as seasonal over 10 days. Does the new rule cover that situation? Yes, the new law allows a single property to have different rental modalities, provided you meet each one's requirements. You can request multiple codes, basically one for short stay and another for seasonal. The trick is to match each type of rental with the right code. So, if you switch from a short stay to a longer one, you're still compliant by using the corresponding code. Daniel, I only plan to rent my house for 1 month in the summer and use it myself the rest of the year. Do I still need this code? Yes, if you advertise it online, even if it's just for 1 month, you'll need to get this registration code. Let's say that the moment you are advertising this, you fall under the new regulation, thus you need it. Daniel, where and how do I apply for this code? First option, the electronic platform of the Registro de la Propiedad. You just fill in their online form and upload the required documents. Second option, you can visit the local property registry in person. Once the registrar verifies everything is in order, they'll issue your code right there. I hope this video was helpful. Even if you're watching 4 to 6 minutes, every video takes me between 5 and 7 hours of work. So if you'd like it, I really appreciate if you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and of course, share the video with people that might be interested. My name is Juan Bertomeu, and alongside my father, we're lawyers and tax advisors in Alicante. Specifically, our offices are in Denia and Moraira, but we offer our services in the whole country. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in future videos. Adiós, hasta luego.